Good evening and welcome to the November 14th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. If we can have roll call, please.
Messina.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Ingalls. Lutrip.
Here.
Coppice. Ward.
Here.
McCracken.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. If you can join me for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before I get into the rest of the meeting, I need to make an announcement for one of the public hearings. It was ZC-1-23, and can you hear me out there, first of all? Okay. That one has been going to be continued to our December 12th meeting. So if anyone's here for that, we're not going to be hearing that one this evening. So just wanted to let you know about that. But I do need a motion from the commissioners to make the amended agreement to continue that particular item. So
Move to December.
Second.
and do we need roll call on that? Okay, so I had a motion to amend the agenda to that particular item to our December 12th meeting by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Fleming, Commissioner Luthrop. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that's taken care of. Next would be approval of our minutes for the October 25th Planning Commission meeting.
I'll move to approve the October 25th Planning Commission meeting.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Fleming, second by Commissioner Ward to approve minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Next is public comment, and that's anything that isn't on our agenda tonight. See none? Going over to staff comments.
All right. Well, just a few updates for you. And first, I wanted to thank the commission. I know I thanked you before, but tonight we have the development impact fees on the agenda. So just wanted to thank you for all of your work that you have done on that as the city's Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee. The December 12th meeting, as you just made the amendment, we will have the continued hearing for that zone change, and that's all that we currently have scheduled for that meeting. And then December 13th, another reminder for that joint workshop with the other planning commissions in the county. We'll be convening at the County Administration Building at 5:30 on the 13th for that meeting.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank
Thanks.
you. Next is commissioner comments.
I have one.
Yes.
Where are we on short-term rental get-together? We started that in June, maybe? Have we made any progress?
Analyzing the data from Granicus and trying to evaluate kind of where the short-term rentals are and if there are any concentration areas that need to be evaluated. So we're kind of looking
Okay,
at
so
that.
we're still sort of, have they done all their gathering and we're now starting to get through that? Is that the
We
plan?
have, yes, we've been consistently gathering the data with Granicus's help, and then it's now just kind of, we're trying to get the
Talk through it.
data, understand the data, do some mapping with our GIS program and kind of evaluate that, and then
Do we
look
have a
at-
target date or time?
I am not sure. I can report back to you soon on that. I know we plan to kind of convene the committee again and relook at that, but I don't know the exact time frame.
Got a lot of little houses on sale right now, so I'm just a little concerned that if this keeps rolling out in time, we're going to be behind the eight ball. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, nothing else? All right,
Nope.
thanks, Hillary, appreciate it. Moving on to other business, we're going to have a presentation or the adoption of development of impact fees, annexation fees, capital improvement plans, recommendation from the Planning Commission, acting as the Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee, and we're just making recommendations to City Council this evening. We're not approving anything. So I guess, Melissa, are you going to come up and
Yes, hello.
welcome?
Can you hear me? I've actually never spoken here, I don't think. So my name is Melissa Cleveland, and I'm with Welch Comer Engineers. And as you remember, the team doing the development impact fee and annexation fee update is Welch Comer managing it, and then also FCS Group doing the financial portion of the study, and Iteris doing the traffic modeling portion that is needed for the roads impact fee. Okay, so how do I work this? Okay, just by pushing down?
Yeah, we just queued it up.
Okay. So the purpose of this study is to update these fees because the impact fees were established in 2004 and haven't been updated since. And the annexation fee was last calculated in 1998 and likewise hasn't been updated since. So it was the desire of the city to examine the fee methodology and then also explore a variety of alternatives associated with how to collect the fee, how to calculate the fee. And also update the fee basis, which is growth and capital improvement plans. So we developed capital improvement plans and needs assessments for the street system, parks, police, and fire. And then we recommend new fees based on this current basis. And again, the study is the maximum defensible fee. Doesn't mean that that's the maximum fee that council will ultimately adopt, but that's as high as they could go. So to date, we've had planning workshops, and again, like Hillary said, the Planning Commission acted as the Development Impact Fee Committee. And in the first workshop in May, we went through growth assumptions, and then we gathered Planning Commission's feedback on the fire and police CIP, and then also got some input on various alternatives that we were exploring. And then in workshop number 2 was in July. We got feedback from the Planning Commission on the transportation and parks capital improvement plans, and also feedback on some initial fee findings. And then we started to compare fees to other similarly sized communities in Idaho. And then in September, we had a joint workshop with council and the Planning Commission, and then we presented draft CIPs, draft fee calculations, and also some real-world examples that helped kind of give context for, well, what would this look like if it was this example? So I think that really helped. And then we obtained some feedback both from council and the Planning Commission at that point. And then in October, Hillary, Sean, and I, all three, went to NIBCA, and we met with them and kind of brought them up to speed and gathered feedback from them. And we basically presented the same information that you all got at that joint workshop. It was just pared way down because we didn't have the time that we had when we did that workshop. So our feedback, just to kind of bring you guys up to speed on what's happened since we last met. So feedback from NIBCA was that they were in favor of scaling the fees, by the residential fees like we'd proposed. They were also in favor of a parks fee charged to non-residential land uses. And remember, that's just capturing the non-resident employees. It's not like a double dip or anything. It's people that haven't been feed already. And then it blend in that assisted living fee. If you remember, we looked at the actual impact for assisted living, but it was just really high. And so everybody kind of agreed that we needed to blend that back in a little bit more. And also have more non-residential land uses. We were trying to keep it real simple, but I think we got too simple. So now what you'll see is expanded just a bit more, but not near as complicated as what you currently have. Multifamily by the dwelling unit, not by the square foot. NIBCA's feedback was to do hotels by the square foot instead of by the room. So you'll see that we have it both ways. And then their feedback was to delay the effective date. So once we have the fee hearing and the resolution for the fees, delay that to spring, just so that people that are currently working with a developer to get a home built, maybe their permit's not in quite yet, but they're almost there and they're working with a bank to not make it difficult for those people that their fees would go up. And then also indexing the fees annually. We got feedback that having a fee schedule that was at least 1 year ahead, so if we had a 2024 fee but also a 2025 fee, that would be really helpful for the developers, so they could kind of forecast, okay, my project's not gonna be till 2025, so here's my fees. Okay, so items that have changed since we've all last been together. There are more non-residential land use categories. We did end up ultimately removing that rolling stock from police and fire. We kind of went back and forth on that. I know we talked about it a lot, and we put effort into, okay, well, these are only the rolling stock that lasts more than 10 years. But ultimately, the team, together with the city attorney, decided that it would be more defensible to just take it out and to just not go down that path, because there's not a good basis for doing that. So that is not in the CIPs any longer. And then we separated hotels into the large 50-plus room hotels and the smaller, less than 50-room hotels. So we have two categories. So just as a reminder, the impact fee calc, this is a way simplified version of it, but you have your fee, which is your eligible cost of planned capacity increasing facilities, and then you minus your existing fund balance, and then you have your units of growth, and all the different fees are calced by different units of growth. So transportation is by PM peak hour trips. Bicycle and ped facilities are by person trips. Parks is by population and visitors. And then fire and police is residential and non-residential development. So as you know, eventually the whole study will kind of break these into these different items. So Parks CIP really hasn't changed since you've all seen it last. What I have done that is a little different is being really clear on what the impact fee eligible cost is. That was feedback we got from NIBCA, is like not everything's 100% growth related. So in this CIP, the projects 1, 2, and 3 at the top are 100% growth eligible, because even with these, Coeur d'Alene is a little below their level of service standard that's in their Parks Master Plan. And so we can say that those are 100% attributed to growth. The other projects that are down below, those are existing parks that are just getting improved or expanded. And so the growth share is just that percentage that can be attributed to growth. So over the next 10 years, how much is the population in Coeur d'Alene planned to grow? And that's a little over 18%. The transportation CIP, I did the same thing, put percent eligible in there, and this is based on trips, so it's trip growth in the 2030 model, and looking at the PM peak, and so the trips that are already on the system versus the growth in trips. And so a lot of the projects that are serving the existing population and then also growth, they're only 16.8% growth eligible. What I did here is I crossed off number 3 because it was always in the CIP, but it was determined to be 0% growth eligible, so why even have it in the CIP? It seems kind of confusing, so that's why I lined that one off. So these are the motorized projects. These are the intersection improvements. A lot of the intersection improvements are more growth eligible just because you might not need a roundabout or a signal today, but you will, like the growth is what's pushing it over. So a lot more of those are 100% growth eligible. And then we have just some miscellaneous things like install the median on Northwest Boulevard. That was identified in one of the city's other traffic studies that they've had done. And then we have several non-motorized projects that are, for the most part, growth eligible. So of the 91 million in the CIP, 33.5 million is growth share. And that's what goes into the fee calc. The rest, I know that's the question, the rest has to come from other sources, from the general fund, from grants, from URAs, from other sources of funding road improvements. The fire CIP, this is the one where we did update it to remove passenger vehicles and equipment, but we still have fire station number 5, more admin space, storage space, and land for fire station 5. And then we also, so what was clearly allowed in the latest update to the impact fee code is apparatus. So the big fire trucks, or just the ladder truck and the regular pumper engine are both eligible. So everything on this CIP is impact fee eligible. The police CIP, again, before we had armored vehicle. We had vehicles that weren't patrol or traffics vehicles, because we know those don't last 10 years or more. We had some other vehicles. So those all got stripped out. So now we're just to the remaining expansion of the police station that will be needed to serve growth. That doesn't include the expansion that's currently happening. This is more expansion than that. A substation downtown that is an existing need, so it's not 100% growth eligible, and then some more storage space. So to date, I wanted to echo what Hillary said earlier, that there's so many ways and so many alternatives that these fees can be run, and it's been really helpful to get such good feedback from the Planning Commission. So to date, what we've heard is that we wanted to scale the residential fees by home size, and that's by square footage. Some cities do buckets, of certain bins that the size of house can go in, but Coeur d'Alene right now is just going straight square footage. So a smaller home would have a lower fee, and a larger home would have a larger fee. We're adding non-residential parks fees. Those capture those non-resident employees. We're eliminating the existing quadrants in the transportation fee. There was quite a bit of discussion on land use categories with the desire to keep it as simple as possible. For staff that has to apply the fees, less arguing over what fee applies or what land use applies, but also making it equitable, so we had to expand the list out. We included just planning or pre-engineering of the Julia Street overpass in the CIP. The reason for that was just the reality of it being a 10-year project, being built in 10 years. So the commission thought that maybe just planning for it would be okay in the 10 years with the idea that it will be a project in the next 10 years. We scaled back assisted living. We looked at that one, various ways. And then scaling fees by engineering news record index. And we have talked about this a little bit more with staff since, and it sounds like we'll probably end up doing a 5-year scaled fee. So you'd be able to tell what the fee is in 24 all the way out for 5 years. That way council doesn't have to revisit it every year. Similar to how they do the wastewater fees. And then we've considered multifamily by square foot, but ended up settling on number of units. And then right now we have hotels shown both by square foot and rooms, because we really haven't gotten a settle on that. But we did split it into larger hotels and smaller hotels. So just as a reminder, that scaling for residential, this data comes out of the American Housing Survey that's in the census, and it just shows that the number of occupants in a home is smaller with a smaller size home, and then grows with a larger size home. But it does max out at about 3,500, so that the fee will also max out at about 3,500. It won't, if you build a 10,000 square foot house, your fee is the same as a 3,500. So here are the updated maximum 2024 fees. And I know that these are hard to wrap your head around without context, so we have quite a few real-world examples. So here's one that's a new restaurant that was permitted in Coeur d'Alene here pretty recently. And so comparing Coeur d'Alene's new fees with several other, two nearby cities, Post Falls and Hayden, and then Nampa and Twin Falls, that are, similarly sized. And Nampa and Twin Falls were also used in the city's comp plan as comparable cities. So you can see where we fall there. I know Nampa's fees are pretty recent. I don't think Twin Falls has updated theirs in a while. Here's an apartment building that has 18 units and is roughly 19,000 square feet. And that's how that would compare to the fees in several other cities. Here's a hotel, and again, we've got it by room and by square foot. So this one had 89 rooms and it was 53,000 square feet. So here's how that fee would compare to other cities. The biggest change is that the other cities aren't charging non-residential parks fees. And so if you stripped that out, you'd be real close to their fees. But the users of hotels tend to be the users of the recreation that we have here in this community. And here is just your average house at 2,300 square feet, one dwelling unit, and how that compares to the other cities. So the annexation fee, this hasn't changed. This has kind of been the same since the beginning of the study. If you scale the $750, that is the current fee, from 1998 to today, you get $1,419. If we go back and we use the same methodology, the methodology that they used in 98 was fine. So if we use the same methodology, but we update the city's costs and the residential and non-residential units, and we get a new fee of $1,133. So that would be the recommendation, is to use that new fee moving forward. So next steps, a week from today, council has a hearing to adopt the CIPs. And then on December 5th, council is planning to have a hearing to adopt the study by ordinance and approve the fee resolution, I think is what we settled on today. And so proposed recommendations that we're looking for from planning and zoning is, one thing that's not on here is if you still have some feedback on the hotel fee, I'd take that feedback if it's by room or square foot. But then also, like, official action would be to recommend adopting the impact fee CIPs as presented, and recommend to council to adopt those maximum fees as presented. I think that's it.
Okay, questions?
I-
And let me, hold on for a second. Let me start with Sarah, if she has
Do you have
any
anything?
questions, because there's a little bit of a feedback. So Sarah, do you have any questions for, on the impact fees?
Mostly just about the hotel fees with the parks element. They seem really high. If we didn't have them as high as they're presented, what what would the ramifications of that be?
Well, it would get blended back into the residential, so basically the residential fees would probably go up.
Okay.
So, is that sort of answer? Like, I mean, the pie is the same, so if we take it out of hotels, then we have to make that up everywhere else.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it just seems like that fee um, is more than all the other ones combined. Just about. So it seems maybe a little not proportionate. But it is
Yeah,
also new. So yeah.
yeah, it's just, I guess the explanation is that they're here for recreating, so they're kind of a targeted audience for a parks fee. So I was gonna pull that open.
And Mr. Chairman and Melissa, may I clarify too, you guys already blended some of those back into the other non-residential uses, right? And
Right.
because you
Right.
can't double dip and have it
Right.
attributed to local employees, you've already done that.
Correct. One thing I was gonna look up, though. I mean, it's pretty similar. The fee per room is pretty similar to, it's less than a house, and it's less than a multifamily dwelling unit. So, I mean, if you kind of compare it like that, and they're probably more active users of the parks because they're here to recreate. So, I mean, it's not, I understand it's high, and it's way higher than what's been charged late, to date, but it's pretty in line when you compare it to the, multifamily dwelling unit fee.
Phil,
I don't know, hold on.
is she done? Sarah done?
Sarah, do you have any other questions?
That's it right now. Thank you.
Okay, just let us know, because we have a little delay and feedback when you do have a question, so,
Mr. Chair, point of clarification.
go ahead, Peter.
Will there be a period of public testimony? Will that be next Tuesday in front of the council? So
Right.
then if there are developers here,
Yep.
hotel people, whatever it is, they can come down and they can question. And so, very good, thank you.
Yes, they can. And so there's going to be two hearings. There's going to be the first hearing to, adopt a study, and then there's going to be another fee resolution hearing to actually adopt the fees. Did I say that right, Randy?
Yes,
Okay.
and that
We were talking
December
this out earlier.
5th is also adopting an amended, or it might be a new ordinance for the development impact fees.
Right. So the council could say, these are the maximum defensible fees. They could agree with that, and then they could adopt a different fee. If they could adopt something lower, if they chose to.
My question is on public testimony, because you've done a very good job including all the departments, all the divisions. You got the city administrator, you got the city attorney, you got the community, you've got everybody, police and fire. You did a wonderful job of that. So you got all the input there. You have one of the community or business group in town, but just the regular, not the regular, other people,
Everybody
they have
else,
not
yeah.
had a chance to look at this and comment. And I think that's very significant when that takes place. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Peter. Lynn, go ahead.
My concern, 25 years in the hotel business.
Yeah.
God help me. But anyway, the difference to me is when you move from a convention hotel with massive ballrooms and the crush of cars and people into that. Some of these people are not staying in the rooms. They're coming from somewhere else to that convention hotel. For me, I would put the square footage against the convention, which is plus 50, and the lesser is just by room, be done. Because that small boutique hotel could be 10 wonderful rooms, and that's a given, done, off they go. And they're not the deeper pockets people. The convention hotels are deep, deep pockets. It's Marriott, it's Hilton, it's the big boys.
Sure.
Whether we even have the land that accommodates that, still, I don't know if we even have that much land anymore. But maybe a discouragement, but I'd almost split it, just because the crush of commercial, focused convention hotels. They just,
So just to make sure I get this right, your feedback would be to do the larger hotels by the square foot and the
because
smaller
those ballrooms
hotels.
are the size of a football field, some of them. And that means there's car parking forever. And crush on our city and our traffic, our roads, everything is heavy push. The smaller
Okay.
boutique hotels, not so much.
Okay.
And then they're done, And I don't know, square footage pencils out better for them. I'd have to see that chart again.
Yeah.
On those smaller ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go all one or the other maybe, but I feels like the smaller hotels need to be just by room and be done. Just my thought.
Another thing that I wanted to point out is that these are the fees before you apply credits.
Right.
So if there's, let's say, a hotel or something's going in and it's not bare land, it was something before, and that something has existed within the last 2 years, they get credit for that use before you apply the new fee. So
Right.
these also are fees that are assuming bare land, no credit.
But I think we need to narrow it down before we hand it over to council. I think it would be a good idea to kind of push it down the funnel a little tighter.
Well, that could be in the motion for recommendations, and then council will take whatever our input is. And when they have the November 21st meeting, they can add or change anything which might push back the December 5th
It may,
meeting.
yeah.
So, I think it'd be great if whoever makes the motion to add some recommendations that are different than what was just presented to us, and then city council can take it from there.
Couple of comments.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil, sure.
Melissa, thank you very much. It's a very extensive study and confusing for most people, myself included. I really believe impact fees are needed, and they need to be fair and equitable based upon the current conditions. And I have full confidence in staff that if they say the capital improvement budget program is X, that's the correct number. Now, when you get to where you're assigning percentage, you say 100% of the cost can go to impact fees. That is still prorated, is that correct? Based upon, if it's a road in use, I'm not going to pay 100%, they're going to pay a percentage based on what they generate. Okay,
Yep.
that's, all right.
It's based on whatever that user group was.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you. And as I understand what you're saying, the fees that we're showing now are maximum. The commission could put in there, they can be adjusted by staff, or whatever means they want to bring them up gradually, if that is their choice. Is that correct?
Right, yeah, we are proposing to escalate the fees annually,
Okay.
so that you don't end up in the situation you're in now where they just haven't been adjusted for.
One other
years.
thing, I'm here on behalf of the people of Coeur d'Alene, not the developers of Coeur d'Alene, but I still understand the dilemma. You have single-family homes, an $8,000 basic impact fee. You're going to build 10 homes, that's $80,000. If I'm right now in the process of negotiating a loan, and it's based upon a certain amount, now all of a sudden the developer has to go back and say, oh, now I need 8,000 or 10,000, whatever more. That could knock the deal out completely. Now, there's the cost of doing business, I understand, but I think it's really important that we be fair and somehow have some mechanism to guarantee that if people are in process now, they're not all of a sudden be cut off at the knees, basically, when they come in for the building permit. And I
Right,
have
so
to defer
that's
to-
why we were having this delayed, gonna propose the delayed enactment of the fee. So if they end up adopting the fees in December, they wouldn't go into effect until the spring, if council decides with that agrees with that recommendation. And then Hillary might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if someone's already in, like their permit's in, then they're under the old fees.
That's
One
correct.
final thing, and that is, I think the current impact fee ordinance has a provision for affordable housing. Is that some type of exemption? And if,
Current one does, I think, Randy, we were looking at maybe modifying, clarifying that in the ordinance.
yeah, but my only concern is that, $8,000 could knock someone out of being able to buy the house, and we ought to make some provision. And I don't know how that'd be structured on, 30% of income, whatever it takes to qualify for affordable, at least on some of these in some way.
Well, remember that that's part of the reason for scaling the residential fee by size. So if they're building a smaller home, it would be a lower fee.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sarah, do you have any other questions?
We do not.
No? Okay. I have really no comments. I agree what I've heard and what Lynn said about the hotels and stuff.
I want
Oh,
to
go
see
ahead.
if I understand this correctly. Commissioner Ward is complex and so forth. But as I understand it, the state has recognized that increased growth results in increased costs for a jurisdiction, and identified that those costs are in capital items. And they have 4 categories: streets, fire, police, and parks. So the thought is that everything is good in the city and jurisdiction as the way it is now, but as more people come in, there's going to be a higher demand in these 4 areas.
Correct.
Can the incoming people pay part of that demand? And that's what the impact fees does. Absent them paying, then the cost will be distributed to all current residents. And, I do my test of sirens, let's say, is you reach a certain age, different things get your attention. Sirens gets mine. It's public safety, public health, public welfare, police, fire, emergency services, whatever it may be. And as the demand goes up for that, the city will not lower its standards for safety. If they need to have another fire truck, if they need to have another emergency vehicle, if they need to have another police car, whatever the case, another good intersection, they will do that because that's for the benefit of our community. That's for our health. So as we go down, there's no question that as the demand increases, the city will get the resources necessary to keep our city safe. And that, a big part of this may come from the impact fees. That is not collected from the impact fees. If we lower them, we have them smaller than other jurisdictions, will be paid for by the current residents. I'm trying to state this as my understanding of fact, not whether it's right or wrong. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. We're talking about delaying the enactment of the fees, ramping them up. Is that the thought? I mean, we're going to ramp them up at least for 2 years to get everybody.
That was a consideration, but that's not the
not.
current
It's not.
recommendation. It's just to delay it to the spring, and I don't think that we've decided.
So it's going to
Is it-
be.
We're
turn
looking
on
at
the-
April 1st.
April 1st was
And
first.
NIBCA thought 90 days was plenty. They
Okay.
didn't think that we needed to try and scale them in over a longer period of time.
Okay.
And
And
that
then
actually, I presented to them again today, a different group at NIBCA, and they said the same thing.
Same thing. And then currently permitted houses are exempted from this. If they're already in process, they are not going to be impacted by these.
Right, if
It's not going to
they're,
come down on them.
so my understanding is if they're in and their application is complete, then they would be under the old fees.
Is
If they're
that
just kind of in the process.
Complete and approved, or
Or
complete
on
and
people's
kind of
desks.
just there?
Yeah, like, I think the city does some review when the
Reviews.
documents come in to make sure that they submitted everything they were supposed, they can't just, submit one page or something
Right,
and say,
so
I was
it-
in, it has to be a complete submittal, and then they'd be in.
Complete submittal, approved, complete submittal, or,
What do they call it?
It'd just be a complete submittal in accordance with the ordinance. What is required for a submittal in the ordinance? If it covers all of those items, then it would be complete. If it's missing something, typically the building department would reject it or would say, come back and bring the other items.
okay.
And then, so we should be announcing it not just in the Coeur d'Alene Press, it has to go much wider. We have to really announce that cutoff date on when that would start. Would we not? Yeah, I mean, it's got to get sent out to the whole world.
But that cutoff date or whatever date these new impact fees go into effect, that's not up to us tonight.
No.
It's up to the city council on November 21st. So we're just making recommendations. For instance, if you make the findings and you recommend that the hotel should be changed, that's a recommendation that we can certainly put in our recommendation to city council, and they'll hear that hopefully, and then they'll make a decision whether they agree or don't agree or change or do whatever they want to do at that point, whether the implementation of these fees are in spring or a year from now. You know, they're gonna have their input on what our recommendations are only tonight.
Okay, since it took us 20 years to get here, did we put in a cost of living increase or any kind of a step format? Has there been a recommendation on a 2% after the first 2 years? That is, I just don't see it in here, but it is somewhere.
That's, Melissa's talking about that ENR, the Engineering News Record Indexing. So we
So
would
we're
do
gonna go
that
with that indexing?
each year. And I think you looked and looking back, was it 5 years? It's 3.9%. So that's what we would be proposing, that it would be
Okay.
increased. And if we looked at a 5-year time frame, it'd be 3.9% each of those 5 years
Okay.
that council could potentially adopt if they accept that.
Well, we look
Process.
better than most of the cities around us. I mean, for the ones that have updated theirs.
Yeah, the ones that
We
have
look
updated.
more rosy than, certainly than Post Falls and Hayden.
Yeah.
So overall.
You're,
So-
I mean, you're right in there, so
Yeah.
it's not like
It's
you're way
not.
out of line or anything.
No, we're not
so.
crazy. Okay. All right, anybody else?
Question?
We're good?
No? All right, I don't think we have any other questions. If you can put up that slide about what, there you go, thank you very much. Thank you, Melissa, appreciate it for all the hard work and all the other meetings you have attended here, and good
been
luck
fun.
at city council next time.
Opening
Okay,
session.
so
Did we just make a motion, or?
we'll make a motion to recommend, depending on any changes you might have, Lynn, if you want to do that, and then I'll get a second on that, and then we can do a roll call on that. Hillary? Okay.
This,
It'd be a simple motion.
yeah,
but,
simple motion.
All right, what's up on that screen?
Right. On the proposed recommendations by Planning and Zoning, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission, as the Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee for the city, recommend that the City Council adopt the capital improvement plans, CIPs, and the fee study when finalized with the fees listed in this memorandum. I also want to note that we should review and get deeper into hotels plus or minus 50 rooms. As to the charges, I would recommend square footage on the larger hotels and just a per room charge on the smaller hotels. The other one that we were, I think that was it. Wasn't there anything else? There was nothing else
I
that,
think
nothing else
the-
that spiked.
Recommendation of the adoption of the maximum fees as presented, or if you don't have anything to
Yeah,
recommend
I
different than that?
I think, we are all in agreement that the maximum fees shown on these charts from Welch, Comer, and Idris be moved forward to the city council.
Okay, we'll find out as soon as we make the vote, but,
Yeah.
okay, so I have a recommendation from Commissioner Fleming.
Second the motion.
I have a second on that recommendation to city council from Commissioner Ward. If,
Speaking of the motion,
we'll,
Mr. Chair,
we'll have discussion.
speaking of the motion, I have great confidence in Commissioner Fleming. She's very knowledgeable. She works in this industry, in these areas. However, I can't share her feeling. It may be right, it may be as right as rain, but I can't share that because I think we need a broader input, be it the city and so forth. For one of us to recommend something like that, it has merit, but I believe it's not necessarily our place to do that. Secondly, we do look rosy. It depends how you define rosy on our fees. But remember, the less fees we get, the more fees the current residents pay for the same service. So I think that everybody did a good job. I believe in the maximum fee. I believe in the process, and I certainly don't disrespect your views, Lynn. It's just that I think
What,
it's
if you can clarify for me, or maybe I didn't catch
Yep.
it, what don't you agree on
Modifying the
Commission o-
hotel.
The hotels?
Yes,
Okay,
simply that.
okay. Point taken. Sarah, do you have any other input before I ask for roll call?
No, I do not.
No? Okay. If we can have roll call, please?
Messina,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Lutrip,
No,
Ward,
Yes.
McCracken.
Yes.
Okay. Recommendation is now the city council. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
very good job.
Good job, that's right. Okay, next on our agenda is public hearing. Is a proposed multi-use special use permit in a light manufacturing zoning district, SP-8-23. Oh, and Mike is going to do a presentation on that. And hopefully, if you're here, you're signed up on the sheet. We have one person on the sheet. Okay, Mike, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners.
You're welcome.
This is the public hearing for item SP-8-23. The applicant is Lake City Engineering, and the owner is Azardo LLC. They're requesting a special use permit for the following 2 commercial and 2 service uses. The commercial uses are business supply retail sales, specialty retail sales, and the service uses are business support service uses and professional administrative offices. Property is located at 3912 North Schreiber Way, and legal notice was published in the Coeur d'Alene Press on October 28, 2023, and all other required notifications have been made. The light manufacturing district is intended for a variety of manufacturing uses that are conducted primarily indoors with some outdoor manufacturing activities allowed that may create some noise, dust, and odor. Residential uses are not permitted in the light manufacturing district. This property is located here highlighted in red. This is Highway 95, this is Kathleen, this is Schreiber Way, and this is Howard. Here's a close-up aerial photograph of the property, and this property is highlighted in red. You see the lot is currently vacant. Here's a bird's eye view looking north. And there are 4 findings that need to be met in order for a special use permit to be approved. Finding B8A through B8C. The first one is finding B8A, that this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. The future land use map indicates that this property is in the general industrial place type. Here's a close-up aerial photograph that, and you can see it's surrounded primarily by general industrial. There's some retail center corridor located to the east, and to the south is a residential PUD. So the industrial zone and the comprehensive plan indicates that these places include manufacturing and logistics and that provide a range of job types, services, and wage levels. These are areas that are located with primary central areas of employment, areas that create goods and services with a mix of indoor industrial uses separated from residential areas. So the comprehensive plan indicates the bicycle, the sidewalk, and the transit areas, and this is a planned bikeway along Howard, and there's an existing bikeway located on Kathleen. Sidewalks are required on Schreiber Way, and as for public transit, the nearest location for public transit is off of Ramsey. So comprehensive plan goals and objectives as it relates to the special use request. The first one is community identity, and the goal would be Coeur d'Alene citizens are well-informed, responsive, and involved in the community decisions. And the objective for this would be foster broad-based and inclusive community involvement for actions affecting businesses and residents to promote community unity and involvement. As far as jobs and economy, the goal would be retain and grow and attract businesses, and the objective would be to foster a pro-business culture that supports economic growth. The full list of the goals and objectives are on page 13 of the staff report. The next finding is finding B8B. The design and planning of the site is or is not compatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. As you can see, Schreiber Way has a variety of uses, everywhere from a brewery to a winery. You've got construction, engineering firm, police department, multitude of commercial activities. This map indicates the special uses that have been approved in Schreiber Way. And these are the special use permits highlighted in blue that have the multiple uses that are over 2. So some are 6 and some are 4. And here's a list. So in the last 10 years, we've had 7 multiple use special use cases that have been approved. And the full list is on page 15 and 16 of your staff report. And today they're requesting 4. So the existing zoning is light manufacturing, and you can see this is the land use pattern, and predominantly the red is commercial activities. So these are all commercial uses, a couple manufacturing uses, and some civic uses located in this area. Here's some site photos. This is standing on Schreiber Way looking east. This is on Schreiber Way looking at the frontage improvements. The next finding is finding B8C, that the location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will or will not be adequately served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. City staff from Streets and Engineering, Police, Water, Fire, Parks, and Wastewater Departments have reviewed the application request in regards to public utilities and public facilities. Staff has indicated that there are adequate public services and facilities available. See full comments on page 21 of the staff report. Here's a site plan indicating how they want to propose to develop the property. The building is located centrally on the property with parking on the front and parking in the rear. This is Schreiber Way here. The applicant has submitted a building elevation of what the proposed building is to look like. And proposed conditions. The Planning Commission may, as a condition of approval, establish reasonable requirements as conditions of approval to mitigate any impacts that would adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood. Please be specific if any additional conditions are added to the motion. There is one staff condition, and that's from wastewater, and no permanent structures or monuments can be built within the sewer easement. So the alternative actions tonight for this item, you will need to consider this request and make appropriate findings to approve with conditions, deny, or deny without prejudice. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, questions of Mike?
And just
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, Mike, real quickly, if a conditional use is approved, it has to be, I'm not sure of the terminology, acted on within 1 year. I understand, I think Ex-Babylon is the company that is going in there, and it's a known company, been around here for years. They'll take that space right away. If the other 2 spaces are not occupied within a year, do they lose the right for the conditional use, or the building itself is enough to say it's grandfathered and you're allowed to keep it?
The special use will be approved once they establish a building permit and a use is established and they get a TI for that occupancy for that Babylon company to work there. That special use is approved and another company can come in 2-3 years later. It will not expire.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, do you have any questions of Mike?
I do not.
No? Okay. Okay, Mike, thank you. Hi, Drew. Just state your name, city you live in, I'll swear you in.
Good evening, Chairman Messina, fellow commissioners. Drew Dittman, 126 East Poplar Avenue in the great city of Coeur
And do
d'Alene,
you
Idaho.
solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go right ahead.
Good evening. So this was probably a little familiar to you guys. It was brought before you a couple months ago, and it was denied. We're back again, and I'll explain a little bit why we're back again. It was a little bit presumptive on our part when we brought it forward a couple of months ago. It was very broad. We didn't give you guys a lot of detail on it. We were asking for 6 categories. And that was a little bit of our fault on our team. We didn't properly plan ahead and give you guys enough information to make a good determination. So we're here tonight, hopefully, to give you some more of that information so that we can make this good decision. So Babylon is a local IT company. They provide IT solutions, network management, cloud solutions. Tina Peralta is here tonight. She's one of the owners. She can explain a little more about what they do if you're interested in that. They have purchased this property to build basically their corporate headquarters. They have offices currently in Newport, Sandpoint, and they're leasing a space in Hayden. They've completely outgrown the space in Hayden. They've completely outgrown the spaces up in Newport as well. They've chosen to move their corporate headquarters, if you will, to Coeur d'Alene and build on this location. Schreiber Way is eclectic. There's a lot of uses there. My office was there for 8 years. I worked actually right across the street from this for 8 years. I ran my company out of that office. So there's a lot of the different businesses that are in there, from engineering firms. There's wineries, there's a brewery, there's the post office, there's the police station there. The Forest Service was there for a long time. So there's a variety of different uses in there, even though the underlying zone is light manufacturing. There's obviously a variety of uses. Babylon, like I said, they're looking to build, and Mike had shown this, the site plan here. So they're looking to build about a 6,500 square foot building. They will be occupying about 2/3 of it. So here's a footprint here. There's 3 suites in it. Babylon itself will be occupying the main suite here, which is 2 stories. So this on the right is the second story. They've got 2 1,500 square foot suites that they're going to be looking to lease on the side as part of the building, but they will be occupying the majority of that building. And again, Mike had showed this architectural rendering. So Babylon will be taking this whole side of it. You can see it's 2 stories, leaving 2 suites here. They're looking for similar uses. We're asking for, as Mike had said, 4 categories: business support services, professional administrative office, business supply, retail sales, specialty retail sales. And the reason we're asking for those 4 is what Babylon does could be classified into any one of those 4 categories, because they do provide a broad range of services and retail stuff. So they could themselves be in any one of those 4 categories. So if we can get those 4 categories approved, that gives them the opportunity to have a like-minded business come in next door in one of those suites that's very compatible with them. So. And if they do get a tenant that wants to lease one of those that doesn't fall into one of those, then we would obviously have to come back for an additional special use permit at that time to meet those criteria. So these were the 3 findings that Mike went through. I'm not going to go through them again. They're very detailed in his staff report. We outlined them in the submittals and the narrative that we had submitted as part of our application. The one thing I did want to touch on, and I kind of stole these from Mike's staff report, is on the left there, and he showed this slide actually, you've got all those green hatched areas. Those are all of the special use permits that are in that Schreiber Way. And as I explained earlier, you can see it's an eclectic use of different types of businesses. It's not a traditional industrial park, but you've got all sorts of retail and commercial and office and professional buildings in there. And then the map on the right is the actual land use. So what is there, even though it's light manufacturing? You can see the majority of it is red, which is a commercial type use. So what we're proposing with this special use permit does fit the character of the neighborhood. It does fit with what's there. So, and we think it's a good use. So.
Questions?
Answer any questions if you have any of me.
Sarah, do you have any questions?
I do not.
No? Okay, thank you. Okay, Drew.
Thank you.
I have no one else on the list, so I imagine Drew's not going to rebuttal himself. So I'm going to close public testimony. Unless the owner wants to say anything, you don't have to, but you can. You're welcome to if you like. Sure. Sorry about that. Just
worries.
give me your name and the city you live in, and I'll swear you in.
Tina Peralta in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go right ahead. Thank
All
you.
right. Wonderful. Thank you for hearing us today. So I am a part of Ex Babylon. Me and my partner founded that back in 2001, and we currently have our primary office in Newport, Washington, a very small town if you're familiar with it, with a very similar style building, and we have outgrown that. So we have about 38 employees, and we own a Zardo LLC as well. So we own the building and we own the business within it. Obviously, space is hard to come by now in Coeur d'Alene, which is what kind of lifted us up to building our own space and hopefully having additional income based off of that rental space next to us. We are very particular about who needs to go in next to us. They need to be complementary to our services and fall in line culturally and ethically for the work that we do. So my hope is to continue to provide jobs in our community. All of our resources that we currently have for hires live in Coeur d'Alene, Newport, Sandpoint area, and I'm very proud of our group, and I want to continue to support Coeur d'Alene and our growth that we have. So hopefully we can have a space. Do you have any questions for me?
No,
No?
good.
Sarah, do you have any questions?
I don't, but thank you
No?
for your
All right,
presentation.
Thank you. And if you can just sign the sign-up sheet before you leave,
Yes,
that'd
sir.
be great. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to close public testimony on this, and bring it to the commission for further discussion and a motion.
I'll make a comment if I could.
Sure.
When this came before, it was like, to me, it was just too open-ended. That's changed now. I appreciate what they've done. They've defined plan, they've defined a use, and realistically, that whole area is pretty much no longer light industrial anyway, and there's no need to close the gate after everyone is gone. But I like the plan, I like the location, and I think it's a good application, much superior to it was 2 months ago.
Thank you. I agree with that as well. Being that said, Lynn?
No pressure.
Mr. Chairman, I just
Yes,
want to make
Peter.
a comment that we were informed that we have to modify the way we do our findings,
Correct.
be more specific.
Yes.
And by default, I'm defaulting to Lynn because I
I
don't
used to be a
make
swimmer.
motions.
I have big shoulders.
But the issue being that this is sort of new for the next couple of meetings. Lynn will do an excellent job.
Oh,
but
thank
it will
you.
take a little
And,
longer.
and so will you down the road, Peter.
Thank you.
I have a question though, because we have this as a special use permit, which is 65% of this now, Schreiber Way. There are a number of points under permitted uses. We have administrative offices. I see not just 4 different things, but if I could move forward, administrative offices, business supply, retail sales, business support service, sounds like a communication service, professional offices, and specialty retail sales. Am I out of line by adding the communication service? Should we just stick to their 4 elements,
We should
period?
stick to their 4.
Okay, remind me which
Requests.
those 4 are, because there's a lot to choose from here. And I had 2 hours to study on this.
It's,
Give me exactly which ones. Business support is not one of
It's
them.
on, page 1 and 2 of the staff report. So business support services,
Yeah,
professional and administrative offices,
okay.
business supply retail sales, and specialty retail sales.
Specialty retail sales. Just hold on. I'm going to mess this up for sure. I literally was speed reading. Okay. All right, got it. Okay. All right. I scribbled all over this, but I told you I'm not a lawyer.
and I kind of made some of my
Never
notes
wanted
on
to be. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of coaching
Yeah,
here because
it's okay.
we are doing this slightly differently. We're being much more specific in our recommendations and following our
Let's
our
ask
goals.
Randy on let me ask you a question, Randy, real quick on this before Lynn gets through the findings, B1 through B7. Do we have to, usually we just adopt B1 through B7. Do we have to elaborate on each one of those, or?
No, those are technical aspects that are established by the record
Okay,
already.
so we can do that the same way
I
we
can-
always
We do
have.
that same
All right,
way.
so-
I can dust over that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, this matter coming before the Planning Commissioner of Coeur d'Alene on November 14th, 2023, on an application of a person requesting approval of item SP-8-23, a multi-use special use permit in the LM or light manufacturing zoning project. The applicant is Azardo LLC. The location is Lot 4, Block 2 of the Commerce Park of Coeur d'Alene, as recorded in Book F of Plats, page 372, Records, Kootenai County, Idaho, and commonly known as 3912 North Schreiber Way. That's a lot more than we ever say. We find the findings that are boilerplate are we're adopting the B1 through B7, covering posting of this, zoning is light manufacturing, general industrial. Then we move over to the fun stuff. B8, pursuant to section 17.09.220 special use permit criteria, a special use permit may be approved if the proposal conforms to all the following criteria to the satisfaction of the Planning Commission. B8A, the proposal is in conformance with the comprehensive plan as follows. It notes access.
I said this one here basically because the mailings
Yeah,
were sent.
got it.
Yeah.
But we are following the comp plan, and we have access to main thoroughfares. There's a mix of land uses and a use of existing services, sewer, water, power, et cetera. Community and identity, we are fostering a broad-based and inclusive community, with no adverse effects to the existing land use that is designated, which is your light manufacturing and the special uses that are currently in play. The other one that stands out is the growth and development, that we are revitalizing and growing an existing business district that we already have in play, and we have continued to follow the preferred, and it's shown itself over the last 20 years. There's a preference for this special use permit in this area. We've got almost 24 from dating back 20 years, or even more, 21 years, 24 special use permits in this area. I counted them. And then jobs and economy, again, we are retaining and providing jobs and businesses to make this city a thriving centerpiece.
Hold on. Randy, as Linda's presenting these, is there anything you would add to this before we go on to the next findings?
I think that's adequate at this point.
Okay. Okay. Moving on
Well,
to.
probably at this point, I should say that we are allowing the permitted use of the administrative offices, business supply, business support, and professional offices under specialty retail sales. So those specific uses are approved in this instance. Okay. I'm going to learn.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I'm old, but I can learn, right? B8B, the design and planning of the site is compatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. The site is, as most of Schreiber Way, flat, basically. We are already, the density and the intensity of the project does fit. It's a very similar lot size to the existing developments. And the impact to traffic that is adjacent to main thoroughfares is fairly minimal. And the appearance of this building looks like it fits snug as a bug in a rug. Oh, that's not technical enough. It's a handsome-looking building. It'd be a really nice asset to this area, no doubt. B8C, the location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will be adequately served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. The various departments have weighed in, and the water department has identified a 12-inch main and 2-inch domestic line and 6-inch fire service adequate to handle this property. The sewer is already a line on Schreiber to the west, and easements on east and south to be preserved and protected. And the wastewater is willing to serve and has capacity as needed.
As well as all the other buildings in
And
that.
all the buildings that already are being served by that. And police is just around the corner, so no problem. Okay, sorry, I'm a humorist as well. Finally, in conclusion, the Planning Commission pursuant to the aforementioned finds that for a special use permit, as described in the application, should be approved. The Planning Commission finds that facts do follow our guidelines in the comp plan, and that the sewer easements existing east and south, that they need to be preserved and protected over the build. And a final condition by the city is that on the wastewater, no permanent structures or monuments can be built within the sewer line. That's it.
All right, good. I have a motion by Commissioner Fleming. Looking for a second.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Luthrop. Any further discussion? None? Okay. Roll call.
Fleming,
Yes?
Luttrip,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Messina,
Yes.
McCracken.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Motion passes. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Oh, we've seen this one before,
Bear
too.
with me.
Got a lot of deja vu tonight.
The next is, the applicant is 15th Street Investments LLC. Location is 3549 North 15th Street. We have two parts to this. Part A is a proposed 1.65 acre PUD known as Birkdale Commons North. And the second part is a proposed 7-lot, 1-tract preliminary plat known as Birkdale Commons North S-6-23. And Mike is going to give us an update on it. Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you, Commissioners. This is the public hearing from PUD-5-23 and S-6-23. The applicant is 15th Street Investments LLC, and they're represented by Lake City Engineering. The applicant is requesting approval of the following two decision points that will require separate findings to be made for each item. The first one is a residential plan unit development that will allow for 7 lots and 1 tract with the following modifications. First one is lots fronting on a private street rather than a public street. Minimum lot width of 30 feet rather than 50 feet is required. Minimum lot area of 3,473 square feet for a single-family dwelling lot rather than 5,500 square feet. And a side setback of 5 feet rather than 5 on one side, 10 on the other. And a sidewalk on one side of the street rather than a sidewalk on both sides of the street. And the next item is a 7-lot, 1-tract preliminary plat to be known as Birkdale Commons North. The location of the property is at 3546 North 15th Street, and legal notice was published in the Coeur d'Alene Press on October 28th, 2023, and all other required notifications have been made. So here's a location map indicating where this property is located. It's here highlighted in red. This is 15th Street. This is Lunsford. Here's a close-up aerial photograph of the subject property highlighted in red. Here's a bird's eye view looking north. This is 15th Street and Lunsford Lane here. So the first item is the PUD and the plan unit development findings. There are 7 findings that must be met in order for a PUD to be approved. Finding B8A through B8G, and we will go through each one of those, starting with B8A. That this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan indicates this area is in the compact neighborhood. You can see the single-family neighborhood place type is to the north, and to the south is a compact neighborhood place type. So the comprehensive plan indicates that the primary uses in this area are townhomes, single-family, duplex, triplex, and fourplex units. And it's also compatible with R12 zoning. The comprehensive plan goals and objectives as it relates to this request. The first one is provide diverse recreation options. And the growth and development goal would be develop a mix of land uses throughout the city that balance housing and employment while preserving the quality that make Coeur d'Alene a great place to live. An objective would be achieve a balance of housing product types and price points, including affordable housing to meet the city's needs. See pages 7 and 8 of the staff report for the full comprehensive plan goals and objectives. The next finding is finding B8B. The design and planning of the site is or is not compatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. There's a single-family dwelling to the north of the subject site. To the east are multifamily apartments and duplex housing units. To the south are full multifamily units. as well as single-family dwellings. To the west are single-family dwellings. There are existing residential uses that surround the subject site on all sides. Here's a site plan of the property indicating how they're proposing to develop it. And you can see this was the Burkdale Commons that was approved in 2022. Last year, they came through with this plan with a one road access coming in, and now they're coming to with this area to the north to add to this subdivision. So, but this will be a separate PUD with 5 duplex lots and 1 single-family lot with an open space area to the west. And then this is the existing home lot. So this is the site photos of the subject site. This is looking south on 15th Street. This is looking east at the existing single-family residence. This is on the driveway looking west. This is at the end of the driveway looking west through the property. And this is back on 15th Street looking north. Current zoning, it's zoned R12. You can see county ag to the north. There's R17 and R8 to the east. There's the R12 PUD to the south and R5 to the west. This is the surrounding land uses. You got single family to the south and west, multifamily to the east and to the south. The next finding is finding B8C. The proposal is or is not compatible with the natural features of the site and adjoining properties. The property is flat with a multitude of residential housing types that are located within the vicinity of the subject site. The surrounding properties that contain residential uses are also relatively flat. The natural features of the site are consistent with the natural features of the surrounding properties, including the residential subdivisions to the west and east. The applicant has submitted some building elevations of what they're proposing to build. It's the front elevation and the back elevation of the duplex. The next finding is finding B8D. The location and design and size of the proposal are such that the development will or will not be adequately served by existing public facilities and services. City staff has indicated that there are public facilities and public utilities available and adequate for the proposed PUD and subdivision request. This proposal addresses the Streets and Engineering Department's previous concern with Burkdale Commons that if each of the comparable neighboring lots are developed similar to Burkdale Commons, traffic would be impacted by a series of 5 closely spaced intersections serving dead-end streets. Left turns into and out of the proposed development may experience delays during peak traffic hours, but a left turn lane is envisioned for 15th Street when traffic volumes warrant it. See staff's full comments on page 1516 of the staff report. Finding B8E, the proposal does or does not provide adequate private common open space area as determined by the commission, no less than 10% of the gross land area, free of buildings, streets, driveways, and parking areas. The common open space shall be accessible to all users of the development and usable for open space and recreational purposes. The applicant is proposing 10% public open space. This is their open space plan that they have submitted. It's at the west end of the tract. As you see, there's going to be a sidewalk walkway to a gazebo and a bench area. The gazebo will have picnic tables within it with benches that surround it. The next finding is finding B8F. Off-street parking does or does not provide parking sufficient for users of the development. There was no request made to change the city's off-street parking requirement through the PUD process. Single-family and duplex homes will be required to provide 2 off-street paved parking spaces. The next finding is finding B8G, that the proposal does or does not provide an adequate or an acceptable method for the perpetual maintenance of all common property. The applicant/owner and their design team will be required to work with the city's legal department on all required language for the CC&Rs, articles of incorporation, and bylaws, and any language that will require to be placed on the final subdivision plat in regarding to maintenance of all private infrastructure. The HOA will be responsible for continued maintenance of the private infrastructure, roads, common areas, and all open space areas that serve the residential lots of this PUD. Now on to the subdivision findings. There are 4 findings that must be met in order for a subdivision to be approved. Finding B7A through B7D. We'll start off with the first one of B7A. That all of the general preliminary plat requirements have or have not been met and attested by the city engineer. City engineer has reviewed this and indicated that the preliminary plan submitted contains all the general preliminary plat elements required by the municipal code. The next finding is finding B7B, that the provisions for sidewalks, streets, alleys, right-of-ways, easements, street lighting, fire protection, planting, drainage, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and utilities are or are not adequate. City staff has indicated there are adequate public services and facilities available. See pages 15 and 16 of the staff report for the full staff comments. Again, here's the preliminary plat, and this is the area that is going to be subdivided. The applicant has also submitted a common driveway cross-section. The next finding is finding B7C, that the proposed preliminary plat does or does not comply with all of the subdivision design standards and all of the subdivision improvement standards and requirements. Per engineering review, for the purpose of the preliminary plans, both subdivision design standards and improvement standards have been vetted for compliance. And the last finding is finding B7D. The lots proposed in the preliminary plat does or does not meet the requirements of the applicable zoning district. The R12 zoning district requires that each lot have a minimum of 5,500 square feet for single-family lots and 7,000 for duplex lots. The proposed single-family lot is 3,462 square feet in area, and the proposed duplex lots range from 7,424 to 7,511 square feet in area. The applicant has requested modifications through the PUD process, and the proposed subdivision is in conformance with the requested modifications that are represented in item PUD-5-23. There are 14 recommended items to include in the PUD and subdivision conditions. They're at the end of your staff report. I have them on these slides if we'd like to reference them. So the decision points and findings. So there are 2 decision points that will require separate findings to be made for each item. The first one is the PUD, and the second one is the subdivision. The Planning Commission will need to consider the 2 requests and make separate findings to approve with conditions, deny, or deny without prejudice. And that concludes my presentation.
I have a question. The easterly current residence, I'm assuming, was that on septic, and is there a leach field out there?
Pardon me, what was the
Is
question?
is there a septic tank and field
On the existing
on the
residence?
existing? Are they hooked up to sewer
I'm
currently?
assuming that they're on septic because they're not in the city limits.
So I guess we'll talk to the engineer about abandonment and removal. Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Sarah, do you have any questions of Mike?
The other thing is, are we clearing
I do
away all the
not.
trees?
No?
Oh, no, sorry.
Go ahead, Len.
Are we clearing out all the trees?
That'd be a good question for the applicant.
Okay, because I know there's concerns on the westerly side
Okay.
about that privacy issue. Okay, sorry, yes.
Okay.
My brain's going faster than my mouth.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
It's going faster than my brain.
Drew, state your name and city you live in, and you're still sworn in.
Good evening, Chairman Messina, fellow commissioners. You get a double dose of me tonight. Drew Dittman, Lake City Engineering, 126 East Poplar Avenue in the great city of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Okay, thank you.
This one might seem a little familiar as well. It was almost a year ago to the date that we were before you guys with the original Birkdale Commons, which Mike had talked about as the property to the south, which we came forward with a PUD and a subdivision that had 10 lots in it. Subsequent to getting that approved, getting the construction drawings approved, we were able to make a deal with the property owner to the north to purchase that property and make it a part of this project, make a little bit bigger project, try to chew up some of those county islands that are there. So that's why we're here tonight to do a PUD for what we're calling Birkdale Commons North, obviously because it's north of the original project. So this one is, we've gone through annexation, so we're R12 zoning. It's about 1.68 acres in size. We're proposing 7 lots. There'll be 5 duplex lots, 2 single-family lots, so you'll have the 5 duplex lots here, one single-family lot here, and then the existing house and mobile home that are in the front. So again, as Mike had said, everything to the south here was already approved as part of the original Birkdale Commons. That included the private lane that came in, has the fire department turnaround, has the sewer and the water infrastructure designed already in that road. So this was a natural fit to front lots on the north side of it when that infrastructure's already been approved as part of that project to the south. We designed it such that the open space kind of matches the open space from the original project so that we can make this kind of one bigger open space. Obviously, same developer, same HOA, it'll all be one contiguous open space. And again, we'll be able to share the existing infrastructure that's being put in Birkdale Lane, sewer and water. We'll have one approach, as the city engineer had mentioned, out onto 15th Street. So instead of all of these developing individual and each one of them having their own access, we're able to now combine two of those into one access, which will help some traffic concerns, and that was mentioned in the staff report as well. So this is a picture, actually, I presented to you guys last time. This was the duplexes that we're proposing to build in the original Birkdale. You notice these ones had single-car garages. We had a little more room on the north one, so we're gonna build some duplexes with two-car garages. So each duplex, each side will have a two-car garage with 2 parking stalls in front. So each duplex will get 4 parking stalls, trying to eliminate some of the off-street parking. We do understand it's a private street, it's a little narrower, so that on-street parking will be limited. So we're able to provide 4 parking stalls per duplex. In this instance, because we had a little more room to work with. Same concept, same looking duplexes as was proposed on the south, but able to sneak in wider lots and get that extra car garage in there, which will be nice. Mike went through all of these findings, so I'm not going to go through them again. Like I said, there's comp plan analysis in the staff report. We submitted one with our package. It is designated a compact neighborhood, which does allow single-family duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, townhomes. So we do fit that part of the comp plan very well to provide some additional housing in the city. Utilities and infrastructure, water and sewer is available right there in 15th Street. To answer Commissioner Fleming's question, that existing house is in the county, so it is on septic. But when we came through, I don't remember, 10 years ago, we redid the sewer in 15th Street. We did provide a sewer stub to that house years ago, so there is a sewer stub, and that was one of the conditions of approval, is that that house is vested and grandfathered until such time as they remodel or demo the house or do something different to the house. They will have to hook up to the city sewer. That's one of the conditions of approval.
And their leach field is contained within that
yes.
site? There's
Yes.
nothing
It'll-
extraneous?
Correct.
Okay.
To the best records we've researched with Panhandle Health, it will be contained in that
Okay.
lot. If for some reason we find that it's not, we'll have to hook it up to sewer.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
so again, there's 2 items tonight. There's the PUD and then there's the subdivision. The PUD modifications that we're requesting tonight are almost identical to the ones that we requested and were approved with the original Birkdale to the south. As Mike said, the single-family lot sizing was a little smaller, the side yard setbacks were a little smaller, but those are the same modifications that we requested originally and were approved with the project to the south. There are 14 conditions of approval. We've read through them, we agree with them, we don't take exception to any of them. I will answer questions if there are any for me.
Are these being built simultaneously then? That you're going to try to do both?
We're going to try to do both together, correct?
Okay, so that when they are completed, the HOAs are bonded?
Correct.
Okay.
Sarah, do you have any questions? Or Drew?
Is there any room for street parking on that private street at all?
Intended.
Not really. Like I said, we're providing 4 parking stalls per duplex off-site, which we feel is more than sufficient. Obviously, it meets the code. With the project to the south, even though those have single-car garages, you can actually see that we've widened out the driveway, so you have a single-car garage, but you actually have 2 parking stalls in front. So the units to the south, the previously approved units have 3 per unit. We're providing 4 per unit with this one, so we think there'll be plenty of parking.
And snow
Okay,
storage?
thank
Sorry. She's probably
Any other questions, Sarah?
keep forgetting.
That was it.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead,
I
Lynn,
keep
you had another
forgetting.
question.
Snow storage, we are going to the southerly lots for that.
So.
And then I guess at
private-
the end of the road, it'd be available in the winter.
Correct. Privately maintained road, maintained by the HOA. So here's the fire department turnaround. We do have a large grassy swale area here that can be used for snow storage, and we have some area here that can be used for snow storage as well.
Okay, thanks.
No other question? No, we're good. Oh, Peter.
Last time you were here, might have been a year ago, my little comment about plan unit development. It's an exchange of value. For the property owner, there's certain value added for this. For the city, there's certain value added for the community for doing this, if it works right, if it's balanced out. And at that time, I asked you if you had any plans for workforce housing. And you very politely and professionally answered that it'd be pretty hard to develop something absent a definition of workforce housing, absent a measurement. I didn't fully acknowledge your response. I understood what it said, and so hopefully when you come back one of these times, I can ask my question and you can give the response, because we'll have defined terms. Thank you.
It's a tough, and I appreciate your comment, I really do. It's a tough one to answer, because what is the definition? Is it workforce? Is it affordable? Is it attainable? We've all got these buzzwords we throw around, and here we are tonight talking about raising impact fees. That has a big play into affordable housing. And so one of the ways that you can get more affordable housing, if I will, is through density, is through the PUD, is to allow us some modifications to do what we're trying to do. That's one of the mechanisms that we in the development community can use to get there.
You're an engineer, and more so than I. You go by terms. You have to have definitions. You have to have something to measurement. Absent that, and it needs to be provided to you.
Sure.
So thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, no other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. The only other person I had out here is Cody Funk. I'm not sure if that's the right, I can't read your.
Sorry, Cody Funk.
Yeah, is in favor but does not wish to testify. Okay. Well, I'm going to close public testimony, bring it to commission for further discussion and a motion. Lynn?
The go-to lady. That's the problem when there's only one lady
You
up
did it
there.
the first time. This should
Women
be-
should run things. I
This
think it'd
is-
be way better. Okay,
Agree.
You can take up some food home.
we don't
with
like to
you.
fight it out. We
Right.
just want to talk it out. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. Mr. Ward can do the last one. Right? Right? Okay, here we go.
You're doing good.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, and let's make sure I'm on the right page. I've got a few things going on here. Am I on the right page? I think I am.
This one,
I'm on that one,
We
right?
got to do the
Yep.
PUD first.
PUD first. Okay. This matter having come, I'm going to say it the way I have to say it. This matter having come before the Planning Commission on November 14th, 2023, on an application of a person requesting approval, PUD-5-23, a request for a proposed plan unit development known as Birkdale Commons North PUD. The applicant is 15th Street Investments LLC. The location is beginning 30 feet west and 548.3 feet north of the east corner of the Section 1, Township 50 North, Range 4 West, Boise Meridian, Kootenai County, and commonly known as 3549 North 15th Street. Whew. We have the standard boilerplate, which we adopt from the Planning Commission, covering notification, a comp plan map designation for a compact neighborhood, and that 54 notices were sent out, and nobody's here. Okay. B8, pursuant to section 17.07.230, the planned unit development review criteria, a planned unit development may be approved only if the proposal conforms to the following criteria to the satisfaction of the Planning Commission. B8A, the proposal is in conformance with the comprehensive plan, and this is based on the fact that it is part of a compact neighborhood and compatible with the R12 zoning area. We have 1.68 acres, 7 lots with 5 duplexes, 1 single-family dwelling, and 1 park. We are accepting, our objective is for a positive impact on adjacencies and a southerly PUD to be conjoined with this new development. That the existing house on objective C1 3.1 support efforts to preserve existing housing stock and provide opportunities for new and affordable workforce housing. The existing home will remain at the front or west or easterly side of the lot and will be supporting our, we hope, workforce housing of the 5 duplexes on the remainder of the lot development. The, let me pop down here. Encourage publicly owned and/or private recreation objective ER 2.2 that they have provided 10% green space that conjoins with the southerly and makes that then a connected park to the rear of the development. And then objective ER 2.3, really important to me, is access to roadways, access to the freeway easily within half a mile, and then direct line bicycle lanes right down to the water and the lake. Okay. Growth and development. We are hopefully crossing our fingers this is affordable. That is market driven. So they have no control over that, but we hope that this size and scale of the development will do that for our area. Let's see what else. I think I've covered most of it. Any other ones that jump out at you? Other than recognize neighborhood and district identities. What I like about this development is I like that you've created a neighborhood on really what was just strips of singular residences. You have unified this to be a truly neighborly, familial development on both north and south. I think that's huge. You don't have to go to the park. You've got your park right there. You've got your families right there. It's a community within our community. Okay. Let's see. The comp plan designates the area as a compact neighborhood with mixed residential, and this serves that purpose with its single-family dwelling, multifamily, and duplexes. B8B, the design and planning of the site is compatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. It is generally a flat site. It has some westerly trees, and I'm not sure if we can maintain any of those, if they're healthy, if they're safe. I would encourage that, but I'm not demanding that, because I know how that goes. And then, let's see. The style of the house, the architectural style, is a cottage style. It's very common to this area. It's very inviting. Again, it's family friendly. Okay, let's see. The proposal B8C, the proposal is compatible with the natural features of the site and adjoining properties. We do not have any threats, flood, it's not a flood zone, it's not anything that would be profoundly dangerous to develop this site. And the retained, I don't see that. Okay. There are no wildlife and no streams here that will be affected by this, and I think it's only going to be an addition to the area. B8D, the location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will be adequately served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. Per the various departments, we have all the services out on 50, bringing them into and through the center line of these two north and south developments to provide us adequate water, life safety by fire hydrants, and all power, and anything else here. And, oh, but wait, we're like a quarter of a mile from the fire department? That's a win-win for me. We have met our sewer policies 719, 716, and the 20-foot easement. And as spoken earlier, that the septic field in the residential property, once it no longer is viable, will be removed. I think that's it. Okay, let's keep going. What did I miss?
I didn't know if you wanted to add on the B88 that off-street parking, there's
Oh.
4 parking spaces
Yeah. Well,
per
they've,
unit. Or
yeah, let me see.
4 off-street parking spaces, that was under B8B.
B8B, that, well, we have 4 parking spaces per duplex, plus 2 for the front residential, and we far exceed the need of the development, because we now have 22 parking spaces.
Right, and
Which
they're
is-
also providing their open space.
And we've got the open space, we've talked about the park.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We have new rules in the house here. Let me bear with me. B8E, Proposal does provide adequate private common open space, as we said, the 10% gross land area, and that we have a passive park, a small trail connecting to another southerly park as well, which provides a gazebo and a bench, more than expected in a small development like this. B8F, off-street parking is not provided on the roadway, or is provided within the parking spaces and the pull-off, but there is no street parking. And I'm assuming we'll post for that.
And
No
it's a
on-street
private
parking.
drive.
And it's a private driveway, which will be maintained by the HOA. Okay, B8G, that the proposal does provide for an acceptable method for the perpetual maintenance of the common property. The owners have provided us with the intentions for full CC&Rs and bylaws, as well as an HOA into perpetuity for both these properties, and they'll be conjoined. Finally, the Planning Commission, pursuant to the aforementioned, finds that the request for approval of the planned unit development as described in the application should be approved. And there are a set of conditions that the developer has approved and represented by the engineer as being fully acceptable to their needs. Do I need to list those out? Merci. So, that's it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Fleming. Need a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Ward. Any further discussion? If we can have roll call?
Lutrip,
Here? Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Word,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yes. Fog tonight.
He just moved.
Messina.
Yes.
Sarah.
McCracken,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. On to the last one,
Phil, can you do this one?
S-6-23.
Yeah.
You'll
okay.
do it? Awesome.
Yep.
Feel like I'm doing my dissertation.
Good girl. Good girl.
They're leaving. All right, Phil.
You're losing your
Was it something I
audience.
said? You know, I just got
Are you going to do it? No, just do
No,
it.
it's
Oh,
okay.
we're just kidding. We're subdivision of it. No, only kidding, guys.
I don't know, you might not.
It's okay,
change-
go.
You can change your mind.
I
They
guess.
left.
This is not quasi-judicial, so I can kind of skip over some of it, maybe? No. Okay, thank you. The matter came before the Planning Commission on November 14th on the application of a person requesting approval, item S623, a request for a 7-lot preliminary plat known as Brookdale Common North. Its applicant is 15th Street Investments. Property beginning 30 feet west of 448.8 feet north of the east corner of Section 1, Township 50, Range 4, commonly known as 3549 North 15th Street. The comments referenced by B1 through 8, B1 through 6.
B6, yeah.
Yeah, accepted as given and to be adhered to. B7, that pursuant to section 16.10.030A and .1 preliminary plats. In order to approve a preliminary plat, the Planning Commission must make certain findings. Accordingly, the Planning Commission finds the following. B7A, that all of the general preliminary plat requirements have been met as determined by the city engineer. This is based on the determination of the city engineer that our requirements for platting have been satisfied, would include roadway access, utilities, and other required facilities. B7B, that the provision for sidewalks, streets, alleys, rights-of-way easements, street lighting, fire protection, platting, drainage, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and utilities are adequate. That's evident by the fact that there is a fire station in a quarter of a mile. This connects to what is a major roadway, which is in the process of being extended, North 15th Street. B7C, that the proposed preliminary plat does comply with all of the subdivision design standards contained in chapter 16.15 and all of the subdivision improvement standards contained in chapter 1640. Requirements specifically, streets and paths are designed to conform with the comprehensive plan, which specifies the continuity of streets and paths is preserved. These are all being done by the developer, and they will connect to the existing public roadway system. The intersection design is based on right angles and appropriate for the area. Street grades conform to the natural contour of the land. The width of rights-of-ways conform to the city standards. Easement and public infrastructure are provided. Block length complies with city standards. Lot frontage, access, and size conforms to the city standards. Sidewalks, curbs, etc. Meet city requirement. The street and traffic control signs and devices meet the city requirement. Since this is adhering, basically joining with the adjacent PUD to the north, it'll meet all these requirements jointly, and a combined development will result. The lots proposed in preliminary plat do meet the requirement of the applicable zoning district. They allow for duplexes with two-car garages, 2 spaces in front of the garage, and meet the overall requirements to include access and open space. The criteria for 8.7D, the lots meet the minimum lot size. They do meet the minimum street frontage and the gross density within the maximum allowed for the applicable zoning. There are only 7 units involved here, and the lots are more than enough to accommodate what they need to satisfy. Order in conclusion, the Planning Commission, pursuant to the aforementioned findings at the request of 15th Street Investments LLC for a preliminary plat of approval based on the application, should be approved.
That should be
Planning
approved with
Commission finds
conditions.
The facts have been established. This supports the conclusion that the imposition of special conditions as listed in the recommendation should be made part of the approval and adhered to by the developer.
Go ahead, Randy, you had something?
The option is approved or approved with conditions, since there are 14 conditions.
I'll-
It should be approved with conditions.
It'll approve with conditions, and the conditions are enumerated in the special conditions listed in the staff
1
recommendation.
through 14.
Numbers 1 through 14.
Okay, great. I have a motion by Commissioner Ward. You need a second.
I'll second.
By
I'll second.
Commissioner Fleming. Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Ward,
Yes.
Messina,
Yes.
Lutrip,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
McCracken.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Motion passes. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn. Need a second?
I want to discuss it. No.
Oh, please, go.
Yes.
I'll be
Second,
gone
second.
by then,
I have
but
a
you go ahead
motion
and
to
chat.
adjourn by Fleming, second by Ward. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
I
thank you
learned
very
tonight
much.
that Women discuss and men fight.
Correct.
Good job, ladies.